Do you desire to turn your passion into income? Connect with other creative souls who also dance to the beat of their own drum? I'm Marie-Nicole, and I'm devoted to combining beauty, uniqueness, and connection in everyday living experiences. As a creative professional and Dharma coach, I help people connect to the truth of who they are and facilitate them in embodying their uniqueness. It is my hope in this podcast that I inspire you to live your life on your terms and earn your income through being uniquely you. After all, it's the unique thread that we each contribute to the collective tapestry that creates the whole. Welcome back to Business to Your Own Beat. Back in episode 5, I talked about how you are your greatest asset. In this episode, I want to focus on how to sustain your drive, especially when the going gets tough. And let's face it, when you're forging your way through roads less travelled, there are going to be challenges along the way. Even when what you do aligns with your values, there are still going to be times when you're going to have to shed the old layers of societal conditioning, and recognise practices that you've acquired through the systems that you've become accustomed to that actually don't serve you. As women in business, we've been conditioned to believe that to reach our outcomes, you have to go hard or go home. But the truth is, our biological makeup is not suited to that way of being. Before I share more on this, I'd like to give a little context as to where I'm recording from today for those watching this podcast on YouTube. You'll notice my background is quite different to previous episodes. This is the beautiful commercial space that I established 6 years ago. It'll turn 6 next month, Creator's Nest, and 5 of those years I've been operating out of this beautiful top floor location of a heritage building called the Oddfellows Hall. It's on the main street of Yass. I established this multi-purpose space, which includes a retail store selling on behalf of other makers and designers, my integrated workshop space where I create my artisanal wares, as well as a space that can host workshops run by others. Like this weekend, we've got hand-built pottery classes with Helen from Good Hope Pottery and a sound healing journey with Connie and Peter from Hum Sound Therapy. I also offer my Dharma coaching service in person here and run personal development workshops like my upcoming La Luna Living 4-week program. And I'll be sharing more on that later because that relates to the focus of this episode. Over the last 5 years, I've been operating out of here. I've also offered creative co-working, hosted business space workshops, launched events, and even other crafting workshops. So, it was always meant to be more than just a retail store. It was meant to have diverse income streams for the very reason that when we're faced with challenges in one area, there is something else to make up for it in another. Now, we've all experienced challenges over the last few years with COVID, but prior to that, our region was impacted by the flow-on effects of severe fires. Not in the Yass Valley itself, but in the surrounding regions. And during that time, our region took on a post-apocalyptic feel with brown skies and smoke that hovered here. There weren't many travellers passing through and that summer, and even the birds stopped singing. It was pretty horrific. And we didn't even have fires. So I can't imagine what it was like for people who had fires. But, once we got through that here in Australia, then COVID hit globally. And businesses like mine here in New South Wales were deemed non-essential. And women who were working out of here ended up homeschooling, and I operated behind closed doors, focusing on the retail store, selling online, and offering free local delivery to keep this business afloat, I should say. I have to emphasise here that prior to opening Creator's Nest, I operated my artisanal brand by Marie-Nicole from my shed, working alone most days, travelling to trade on the weekends and selling online. So my reason for opening this space was to support women in our community in a similar situation to me, creative mothers who wish to maintain their professional identity while still being available for their families. The other side of that was serving my target customer, providing them with a place in a rural town that celebrated them being uniquely themselves, not conforming to societal norms of the region. This space, its atmosphere, the garments and accessories sold here spoke to their adventurous creative spirit. And it's a place that they connect with other people that are new to the region with similar interests and who have also embraced their individual expression. Now, after all those external challenges of fires, COVID restrictions, and having to keep adjusting my business model to suit the changes and challenges, you might wonder how I sustained the drive to keep going. My determination came from a personal need of connection and belonging in a community where I didn't fit in, knowing there were others like me in our region who also felt the same way. And even if they lived here for more than 15 years, they still didn't necessarily feel like they fitted in. Having a purpose outside of just making money is what fueled me to keep going, for sure. But to be honest, if I didn't have daily practices to sustain my health and well-being, it wouldn't matter how much I believed in what I stood for. I would have no doubt burned out by the end of all of this. So, add to the mix, after all those external challenges, that my own internal battle that was taking place with my marriage of 24 years ending last year. The past 10 months have been the most challenging out of all of these experiences, because now as a single mum, with one child at home still, a teenager, yes, but a small acreage to maintain, a business to run, I have to tell you, my daily practices have been even more valuable. So what daily practices am I referring to? This goes back to the 4-week program I spoke about earlier, La Luna Living. When I first started working with the moon cycle, it was because I wanted to create rhythm in how I operated my business. With all the different offerings, I wanted to find a way to stay on top of all of them and introduce new ones without it feeling erratic. So each month I set an intention for the month and use the shifts in the energy of the moon cycle to realise that intention. I soon noticed that operating my business this way led for my personal cycle to becoming more regular and predictable, and it even synced with the moon cycle. Learning about scientific research that shows women's cycles are not a mistake by nature. We're designed to operate in a 28-day cycle. Our hormones shift throughout that cycle, meaning there are certain tasks that we're better suited to performing each week. As our moods, minds, and hormones shift, I then started to dig deeper into the learning about this, making subtle changes to not only how I operated my business according to the moon cycle. I also started to take more notice of what exercises and what foods were better suited to the different weeks of my cycle. And when my marriage ended last year, my personal cycle went way out of whack. So I shifted back to operating according to the moon cycle and the energetic shifts there. And it didn't take long for my personal cycle to return back to a regular, predictable rhythm. As humans, we've become disconnected from how nature operates in cycles. We've even separated ourselves from nature, but we are nature, and we too are designed to operate in cycles. Men were designed to work on a 24-hour cycle, and they have their own part to play in the collective. But as women, we've been expected to operate in the same way as men. And the value of the difference in the way that we were designed to operate has been suppressed. Our emotions and intuition have been deemed unnecessary, and we've been told to man up if we want to show some sensitivity, especially in the arena of business. But it doesn't have to be this way. While we each and every one of us has both masculine and feminine energy within us, in order to run a business, you do not always have to operate in your masculine. Our feminine, receptive, intuitive, and emotional ways have a part to play too. The other day I was listening to an interview with Garrett Dupuis. He is a 70-plus-year-old integrative health care specialist, an inventor with a primary focus on consciousness and biophilic technologies. I know it's a mouthful, but a very learned, well-versed man on all things mind and body. And I really liked hearing him say that we are not thinking creatures that feel. We are feeling creatures that think. He also said, achieve the most while doing the least, which relates nicely to La Luna Living. It's not about cramming as much in as you can each day, week and month. It's about being intentional and discerning so that over the course of a year, you not only reach your goals, but you feel good at the end of it too. Now, a goal I have had recently is to be able to support myself physically, mentally, and financially. That's been a circumstantial shift, of course, but I actually want to feel empowered through this process, not disempowered. And working with the notion of as within, so without, I have been very intentional with which yoga practices I do each week and making sure that they align with my personal cycle so that I build strength and ability that I need in my new situation of being a single mum, running a business, maintaining a small acreage, trying to maintain growing our own food at a manageable level and still making home-cooked nutritious meals for my son and I on a daily basis without feeling depleted at the end of the week. For me, being able to do the crow pose, as those watching on the video will see, represents so much more than just what I can do with my body or how my body looks. I don't have time to focus on body sculpting. I only do 30 minutes of yoga first thing in the morning, and occasionally I do an afternoon practice to release tension that builds up throughout the day after sitting more than I'd like to. I'm no fitness instructor. The reason I am sharing this with you is that when you learn to lay down a solid foundation and build up incrementally from there, you can achieve so much more than you first thought you could. This relates to fitness, emotional regulation, achieving business goals, and more. As a part of that foundation is understanding our body, how it works, what it needs for you to operate at your best in this lifetime. I'm now offering La Luna Living as an in-person 4-week program so that you get more than just information. You get support and encouragement along the way, not only from me, but from those who are attending the Women's Circle alongside of you. So if you're available to attend each Monday for 4 weeks as of the next new moon, February 20th, 2023, I'll have a link in the show notes of how you and where you can book. But if you can't make it in person, there's a self-guided digital version available online too. A part of working with the energies of our personal cycle is knowing when to loosen the grip and let go. Now, I've had to do this in so many ways during this transition, which is a part of why I've decided to let go of my magical commercial space. I am not ceasing to operate Creator's Nest as a business. I will just do so in a new form, which may include bringing workshops to you. If you're not in easy reach of the Yass Valley and you would like to host one of these workshops with your community, it can be offered as a half-day Women's Circle gathering, and I'm more than happy to travel. Or you can gather a group of women in your community to connect with me via Zoom and to work through La Luna Living together over a 4-week period. So don't hesitate to reach out if this interests you. I hope that this episode has got you thinking about how you can take better care of yourself, not only to achieve your goals, but to create a life that you love while feeling great along the way. Thank you so much for your time. I know how valuable it is, and I hope you got value out of listening to this podcast. If you are looking for a coach to support and guide you through your own unique journey of creating a life you love, then reach out for a connection call. And if you'd like to connect with other creative souls in person by joining us at a workshop, a retreat, or to book a unique shopping experience here at Creator's Nest, I run those by appointment. So check out the website for more details. The link is in the show notes. Oh, and please leave a review. I'd love to hear any insights or inspirations that were activated in you from this podcast. And I look forward to drumming, dancing, or soaring alongside of you.